We're recording.
Yeah, there we go, Chris. Nice to see you, mate.
You okay?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks, mate. I mean, we're just helping out back here with, watch, sort of thing. But yeah.
We're doing, following on from your adventures in Scotland last time, your adventures in Wales.
Yeah.
The only odd thing I've found is that I've not found you there pre-71. Do you remember going over there?
Not pre-71. I mean, I can't think of anywhere really that we did. It's strange when you asked that. I thought, bloody hell, that's weird. Sort of. And I can't think of it. We did. I think we did Cardiff.
Yeah.
The Cardiff University.
Right.
And I think that was more like pretty pre-71. Because that was no, yeah, sorry, I was thinking of something else. Yeah. But Cardiff University we did. I'm sure we did a couple of times, but yeah, but I think that was all really.
Because considering that Wales and the coast, Rhyl and all North Wales is the closest bit of seaside to where we are.
Yeah,
you'd have thought you'd have. I mean, if you
exactly. I mean, it was the thing we used to do it with when we was kids, like with Dad, with the family. We used to drive to London, and places like that. Over Horseshoe Pass. I mean, it was always great. It was basically a Sunday afternoon trip. That was then, Chris, because it was.
Exactly.
It's only about 75 miles from Bilston.
That's it, off to Rhyl. I mean, Rhyl was full of black country people, wasn't it?
Because it was an easy drive,
and because we were landlocked.
I'm a bit scared. I can't hear with that on. Okay, so you got the vacuum cleaner on.
Oh, rock and roll. Yeah. I mean, considering you like we said last week, you go up to Scotland for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, I know. It's weird that, isn't it? Not until you mention it. And then like later on, when we did started to do quite a few things, over there. And like we did we used to play called like Mumbles. I mean there's like working men's clubs and village halls and things,
Well, I'm not. I mean, to be honest, I need to go to Wales when all this is done and sort of sort out some of the archives, and just in case, you never know.
It'd be interesting that, Chris, to find out. Interesting that.
We'll do that. Yeah. Right, we're going to start off though with a bit of controversy. January 71, the top rank in Cardiff. You versus T-Rex.
Yeah, that's a weird one. That I don't really know. I can't really remember much about that. I mean, I can only assume he didn't want us on the bill. Because he would have been topping over us. It would have been, of course, it would have been because he'd had a few hits by then, and it's a weird one, that, Chris. I'd love to find out now about that. Yeah. I vaguely remember it, but I can't remember the reason why. Whether he wouldn't have us on the bill.
Well, in the newspaper reports, it was basically the usual. I think somebody said, he's scared of the skinhead crowd.
Well,
that sort of thing.
He could probably just have used that, but I mean, that was probably the obvious angle, sort of thing, not to have a sign or it'd be a strange bill, wouldn't it? You sort of doing all your stuff, then Bolan coming on, sitting on his carpets with that's it. It would have been a bit of a strange thing, 4 madmen on stage before him, and then he comes on sitting on his carpet, But
that's upset the Bolan fans.
It'd be interesting to find out, though, Chris.
Yeah. I'll have a dig around.
I do vaguely remember it, but I can't remember the actual reason why.
No. You seem then to move. You seem to have done like a little mini tour in January of 71. In February, you did St Athens and Cardiff again. You did the uni at Cardiff, the top rank. The Mumbles, like you said, the showboat.
But that was a funny thing because the stage was like the front of a boat. Sort of thing, and it was weird. That was.
Wonder if they still exist. What was the Red Dragon? Was that a club?
The Red Dragon was an RAF camp. I remember that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, an RAF. I'm trying to think where. What did you say where it was, Chris? You know
St.
where
Athens.
St. Athens. Yeah. It was an RAF camp. You know, I'm sure that was the one. I'm sure that was the one.
Yeah, and they got the Patty Club in Swansea, King's Hall in Prest. But you actually went up into Prestatyn at one point, King's Hall.
I don't remember that one. I remember the Patty Club.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I don't know if it was like a working men's club or what, you know. But some strange places.
Probably means something in Welsh. Looking at it, just probably means something. I don't know. But you did at 71. You did quite a few. Mostly you were doing all over the place. The colleges and the ballrooms.
The colleges we did quite a few. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. And you did a community centre in July 71 with a name. I won't insult anybody Welsh by pronouncing it. Cumbran something.
Oh, Cumbran. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I do remember that. It is Cumbran.
Yeah.
But, it was like a workmen's club, you say. Yeah.
Yeah, and the pageant rooms. And
the pageant rooms. I remember that. That was a good gig. That was.
Yeah. But you did, and then 71, you did a fair amount all over the place. You did Barry and things like that. But then in 72, the only one I could find was the University at Aberystwyth.
Interesting. I thought we did Cardiff a few times, but University, but maybe not. Maybe it could have been Aberystwyth.
You certainly did it in 71. You did in September 71. You did Cardiff Uni. You did it a few times, as you say, a few times, and you did the uni in Aberystwyth.
But the one at Cardiff was usually like the end of term ball or something like that. There'd be a few bands on. Be a few halls going, sort of thing with different acts on. Yeah,
because you did the top rank again in Cardiff with Alex Harvey in 73.
Oh, that's right. So that was on the big tour.
Yeah, brilliant tour.
Yeah.
I just thought he was. I think, to be honest, you and Harvey together. I saw you with Crow and I saw you with Thin Lizzy. I saw that. Very good, very nice.
Yeah,
Alex Harvey was just tremendous.
Great band.
Yeah.
Great band. Well, as I said, we never worked with that in the 60s when we first started going to Scotland. We worked with Zal. He was in a band called the Stoics for some reason, and then the Pathfinders, I think. And what's his name? Sadly, he's dead now. The drummer,
McKenna. Ted, was it?
Yeah, Ted.
Ted McKenna.
He was with a little pop band called. They were called Bubbles. He was in a little pop band, And we became quite major. Me and Ted did, really, sort of.
Because Alex Harvey was around forever, wasn't he? The Alex Harvey Soul Band and all that.
Yeah, he started. It was a bit like. Well, not Lord such, not the same kind of show thing, but around a long time, sort of thing. And his brother was in
Stone the Crows.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And Alex, who's really. The thing is, to be on our tour when we was having all the hits was like you either came out of it or you were just like crucified. And he got booed every night, Alex. But he even got booed in Glasgow. And but he held his ground. I tell you, it's incredible how he sort of held his ground.
I saw him at the Civic, and he obviously had no chance. He had no chance. He was tremendous. He did his 20 minutes, whatever it was.
Yeah,
he did all his Lions, all his stuff, and he was fantastic.
Yeah,
bought all his LPs and all that sort of thing. Right. You then go on. You seem to have only done it with the big tours. 74, he did it with Beckett. 75, you did it with Bunny. And they were sort of Swansea and Cardiff. And then you disappear for a few years from Wales. And then you're back doing in 78 when you're doing all the unis and everything.
That's when we came back from America one.
That's
right, going back to play. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you did. And Aberystwyth University, and Nuts Club in Swansea, Nuts with a Z.
What was it called again?
Nuts.
Nuts. Yeah.
Must have been trendy. Must have been trendy.
Yeah. Well, where was it that Nod got bopped, or are you coming to that?
Yeah. That was the Stonley Club in Porthcawl.
Porthcawl. Yeah.
Do you remember it?
Yes, it was like it was more or less like a working men's club, you know, like a big, you know, it's that kind of thing. I mean, do you want to tell the story about that?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
your version.
What happened was, there was like, I mean, the kids were going berserk down the front, you know, and there was a line of bouncers, and this guy, Desmond, was it Desmond Brothers?
Yeah.
His name? He was really laying into the kids and not stopped the show. And he wasn't even working there, Chris. He used to work there apparently, but he got fired for doing the same kind of thing, being heavy with the kids, and not stopped the show. Said, listen, hang on a minute. Yeah, there's no need to him, that the guy, there's no need for any of that. We'll look after the crowd. You lot clear off. And then he sort of turned around and I just sort of like pointing, thinking, yeah, I'll have you, mate, that kind of thing. And I said, yeah, big boy, go on, move out the way. Of course, we carried on with the show, Chris, did the usual thing. And then as we walked off stage, I was standing right behind him, and he was waiting, that Desmond guy, he was waiting. He said, I'm the guy you told to clear off. And went smack. And I heard the crack of Nod's nose. I was right behind him, and Nod came backwards, and you know, I mean, it's bloody horrible. And then it was a bit of a weird thing that was after that, because the club manager got this Desmond guy out the way quickly.
Yeah,
you know, like it's like he was trying to cover things up, you know, and I mean, it was bloody horrible. See Nod's noses then was spread across his face, sort of thing, you know, and it was the club manager who sort of got this Desmond guy out the way quickly. You know, but I mean, of course, it all went to court in the end.
So couldn't have been good though. I mean, just for the bands. I mean, bad enough for Nod, but the band.
Yeah, I mean, it was terrible. I mean, sort of thing. I mean, like I said, I was right behind, and I heard the crack. I thought, what the bloody hell was that? It was his nose, you know. I mean, he was waiting there. He was waiting for it, you know. Apparently, like I said before, he'd been in trouble a few times with hitting kids down the front. But it sort of took it on himself. I don't know whether he used to work there or he just took it on himself, Chris, to be
about security.
Like, you know.
Did you ever? Apart from that, which is the most well publicised, did you ever have any other problems anywhere else?
Never.
Never.
Never. I think it was. Man, we never had it. I think it was. I think it was Sedgley Parish Hall or one of those places. We had a fight broke out. Of course, of course they got on the stage fighting while we were playing, and we were trying to move around while they were punching each other. You know, but
I love it. I just like the idea of Sedgley Parish Hall. You know,
well, you don't have to say anymore, do you?
No.
Right. And I think it was like I think it was Gornal Working Men's Club, the same kind of thing. You know, I mean, you knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. Well, it was rough, yeah. If the carpet was sticky, you knew you were in for a good night, didn't you?
But like Sedgley Parish Hall was run by Andy and Nita Anderson.
Was it?
And Andy was still in the police force then.
That's right.
That's why the agency was the Nita Anderson agency, because obviously he couldn't have it in his name, in the police force. Then. And he used to turn up at Sedgley Parish Hall at the end of the night, but it's still in his uniform, you know, just come off duty sort of thing. You know.
Even when I was on, which was years after he'd retired and gone, sort of thing. Yeah. There were still people telling stories about him. About the stuff he did, you know, he got away with a lot of things. You know.
I can imagine, I'll bet you. But it's like I told you, it's like they were looking at me. Well, when we left Ashby, we went with them, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have anybody else, and that's when we met Chaz. Or Chaz approached us, you know, when he saw us in London, and then that they went down to sort of Robert Stigler's office, you know, sort of thing. And I think they sold us for I think it was 400 quid or something like that. Chaz bought the contract off them. I think it was 400. Sorry. I seem to remember a figure like £400, you know, but I'll stand corrected on that one. You know, but I'll tell you what was funny when we, because we were all excited about them going down to meet Chas Chandler and John Gunnell and all that kind of thing, because they had an incredible reputation. The Gunnells, there was Rick Gunnell, John Gunnell's elder brother, and John Gunnell. They had all places like the Flamingo Club in London and a few other clubs and all things like that, you know, and they had quite a reputation in the 60s, really. And Chas was in partnership with John Gunnell, and they had an office in Robert Stigler's office in Brook Street, you know, like mega where the Bee Gees were and Cream and all that kind of thing. So for Nita and Angie to go down to the office, you know, sort of thing, it was a mega thing in those days, Chris, you know.
Yeah, no, they did well. Right, so Nod's been assaulted, and the next time you go back to Wales, according to the figures I got, is Paul Talbot. A place called the Sandman Club. That was in '79.
That must have been like a work. That was on the down years when it must have been like a working men's club, Chris.
Yeah, it was pre-Reading, wasn't it? So you're in that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Chicken in a basket.
Anyway, just to keep the band going.
Yeah.
So it was probably a working men's club or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
That's what it was. We played quite a few of those.
Yeah, well, I mean, 1980, the universities. Even in December '80, the Dixieland Show Bar in Colwyn Bay on the Pavilion. That's after Reading.
After Reading, well, that was obviously already booked. Already booked, but it wouldn't be like it'd be like more or less like a holiday crowd. I think it was.
Yeah, I should think
almost like one at the end of it. But I mean, we still. To the general public, we still weren't that well up there, you know what I mean? No. Reading is a special crowd, so yeah, I mean we still had a lot of gigs that were already booked that we had to honour, which we always did. I will say that we always honoured everything we did, even when we had our first when Get Down and Get With It went in the charts. Yeah. You know, we honoured every gig. You know, I mean, they were queuing around the block and the places were heaving. It was fantastic, and but we honoured everything, even for the same money or all that kind of thing.
You always did that. I mean, when I first started seeing it, I mean, I was only, well, you know, I was 12, 13, so I don't remember too much about. People asked me what you were playing, what you were like, and all that stuff. Yeah, and I've got no idea. No, we just used to, you know, we used to come out, you just with this wall of sound, and it was fantastic. Yeah. And I suppose I must have queued at some point, but most of the time we didn't queue. We sort of, you know, paid on the door or whatever it was. But I mean, I think it was once you got into the charts, you started to disappear a bit.
But what was great was before we got into the chart, before we started, and we got this incredible reputation, live reputation, Chris, and all the places we were booked into, you know, before chart success, there was like queues all around the block, you know, sort of thing, because of our reputation. It was fantastic, and I remember, I think I told you, we did this open air thing in where was it, in Scotland, when we early on, very early, before we had any success. And what it was, we always, like I said, we always had a great time in Scotland. And the deal was, it was like a threepence or sixpence to get in, ninepence, you know, to do. It was like a carnival, that kind of thing. Yeah. And the deal was that we'd have all the money on the door.
Yeah,
you know, it was the park, and we were playing on the bandstand, and it's the first time we earned over £1,000, Chris.
Well, I mean, heck.
And I remember me and Nod going to the bank in Willenhall on the Monday morning with over £1,000 in all shopping bags, in threepenny bits, sixpences and shillings, you know, because that's how it was paid. And I remember that night we were carrying these like shopping bags with coins in, and we're like knocking the kids out the way because we're trying to get this money in the van. I mean, it was a grand. I mean, it was unused to earning then about 150 quid. Something like that, you know.
Well, how much did you take out of that? How much would you out of that? Say you got £1,000 exactly. How much would?
Well, what we'd be doing then, Chris, we'd be putting it in the kitty to help buy better equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I say better equipment, we all looked after our personal equipment, but things like PA and maybe just have a bit of money in the pot so that we could,
with the equipment. With the equipment,
traveling, us in a car and two Swin and a mate of his, Bob, in the van. We were traveling separate from the gear, which was like a revelation to us because we'd always have to normally travel with the gear and have a couple of hours doing nothing while the gear was set up,
Because I mean that equipment's always a good one because Nod always seemed to have, and Jim all seem to have decent, in the old days, seem to have decent, it was Gibsons and Telecasters and things like that.
Yeah, well, I remember going with Nod to buy his Telecaster because then there was only a couple, it was a special one. There was only a couple done at that particular time, and Stevie Winwood had the other one.
Yeah.
And not had the one,
because he had his Gibson, the big, was it the 335 or
whatever they are, the semi-hollow one. That's when we first met. I don't know whether he put that in part exchange or whether he
well, that was a bit of kit because he sort of, even with the Phantoms, he had a Gibson.
Well, that was the one, the red one. I mean, incredible. Well, Nod's always one of those. He'll save every penny. You know what I mean? And that. And I remember his Telecaster. When he bought that, it was like, it was only him and Stevie Winwood had one, and there's only a couple around, and I think it was 145 quid. Telecaster. I mean, God, he had that for years because he had his spray black and had it all done up and all that kind of thing.
Because it was cream, wasn't it? Was it cream originally?
Yeah, it was like a cream colour.
Yeah, yellow.
Off white.
And Jim had his Gibson, and Dave had his dad's the dad's Gibson thing.
It was the Gibson, which that's it.
Yeah, brilliant.
And that was a one-off. That was a one-off as well. That Gibson, the Dayboard.
Well, they built it up, didn't they? There's a great article in one of the guitar mags talking about it, where they strip it apart.
It was from that guy from Birmingham. What's his name? Not John Dickin. There was John Dickin used to work for this guy. I can't remember the guy's name. Guitars.
John Birch.
Birch. That's it. Yeah. And he did a lot of work on that Gibson.
Yeah.
And that was a one-off. It was a great guitar, that was.
There's a good article in one of the guitar mags where they literally strip it all down and they say this came from this came from that.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I remember driving to, well, because his dad paid for it. And his dad drove, and I went down to London with H. We had like a day trip down there. We left in the morning, and got to London probably about lunchtime or something like that, and bought the Gibson. Was it Sound City or one of those big shops at the time in London, and then we drove back the same day. I think it's 145 quid. I think.
Again, that's a lot of money.
Well, yeah.
Right, you carried on, and I don't know, 80, 81, 83, you did a couple of unis, Cardiff, Swansea, Aberystwyth, but you never really, I think it's this surprise about Wales, how close it was, and you're all over the place. You're down, you're having down south in the 60s for a couple of weeks on end and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But Wales just doesn't seem to have cropped up, which I think...
What I remember, I don't think there was any gigs there. Well, the ones that we played, when we first started, you're talking about now, Chris.
Well, because all these from the 70s onwards up until the last one, which we'll talk about in a bit, we're all the big city. Well, for one of the big city, Cardiff, the obvious ones. But in the 60s, you were going up to little places in Scotland.
Oh yeah,
you were playing Norfolk and things like that, and down south.
I'm not quite sure whether we were actually asked to do anything over there in Wales. I mean, Chris,
it's funny.
otherwise we would have done because we would play anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
that's
we
what I'm
would
saying.
play. We at those days we would play anywhere, you know, sort of thing. But because it wasn't like as if it was hard to drive to or like hard to get to. You know, like you're saying, we got to the north of Scotland like nearly a 12-hour drive.
Yeah.
You know,
but
and
a couple of hours to Real.
yeah,
oh, well.
but I don't think we probably weren't asked, or maybe whether there's any gigs there at the time. I can't remember.
I'll have to when lockdown's finished and I can get into the archives again. I'll have to organise. I'll have to do some trips to Wales.
If there is anything there, Chris.
Yeah. Now your final one with the original lineup is the controversial one at the Mayfair in Cardiff in November '83. Cancelled so you could go and do Top of the Pops. That's still a lot. That left a bitter taste in a lot of people's mouths.
I know. But I think I don't know if it was that, but I think then, Chris, because what we used to do, it was always a clause in the contract when we was having the success.
Yeah.
That if anything come up with the charge, it wouldn't be cancelled. It'd just be moved.
Yeah.
You know, to be rescheduled. So, but I do remember that because there was a lot of bad press about that, wasn't there?
There was.
I do remember that, and I don't think it was ever rescheduled, was it?
No.
So
it was '83. It was 1983. It was the final tour.
Yeah. It was the big one then, the big year sort of thing. But now it's a weird one, that, Chris. I mean, normally stuff would have been rescheduled, or it would have been in the contract. If Top of the Pops cable, it would either be cancelled or rescheduled.
So you knew about it, the management knew about it, and the venue knew about it. It was just the punters who didn't know anything.
Yeah, but that ain't good. I mean, that ain't good. You know, so I don't really know, you know, what happened there. Because that's normally it was well organised. That's what would be done. You know, there would, like I said, there would be the clause in the contract. You know about it.
It's sort of quite. So it's the Welsh adventures start off with a cancelled gig with T-Rex. In the middle there's a punch up, and at the end there's a cancelled gig.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't argue with that, can you? It's
that's quite original, that, isn't it?
Yeah. Don't be a fan in Wales. But no, it's quite. It is strong. I'll definitely do into once lockdown's down and the hotels start opening up. I'll start planning a Welsh trip. And
that'll be interesting. I mean, I'm sure, you know, there would have been something, but thinking back, I mean, it is strange because it ain't that far to drive. At that time, when we was still back in the Midlands.
Not when there with the Mavericks. He did Barmouth and places like that. So, there were Steve Brett was.
I mean, when we did do some of the gigs, there's like working men's club, but that's what the gigs were then.
Yeah.
You know, sort of things like that. You know,
I'm always surprised the in-betweens never did the Cavern.
No, it's weird that. I mean, Nod did it with the Mavericks, but I don't know why we never did it. It's weird. We played a working men's club. It was just on the very outskirts of Liverpool. Yeah. Because we thought, we're in the same place as the Beatles now, but it was just a working men's club, like a big pub, basically, just right on the outskirts of Liverpool, as you're going from.
You'd have been a great band for the Cavern.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but I don't know what the situation was because we're with Astra then, so whether what their situation was, we don't know.
But I mean, it was 64, I think, Nod played with the Mavericks. So I think that
so it was pretty early on then when he played there.
It was probably something because they arranged that they obviously the Mavericks picked up a lot of dates from the old Mavericks.
Yeah, and having Steve Brett with them, sort of thing, because he had a name in his own right.
That's right, because they hit the ground running basically. You look at their gig list compared to, with the...
Oh, yeah. Well, we did a gig with them. It was one of the hotels with Steve Brett and the Mavericks, and it was in King's Winford or somewhat like that. It was one of the big hotel things.
I've never found you together. I've never found an advert
But because I remember, because we didn't really know them then, not or any of them then. But I remember in those days, it was in a place like that, it'd be what they'd give us, what the Connaught, we'd have one of the bedrooms as a dressing room, and because we'd never seen anything like this. I remember this big hotel or big place in I think it was King's Winfield or somewhere like that. And we all got into bed. All the five of us got into the bed, and that's when Steve and the Mavericks walked in, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. It was us five of the in-betweens all in the bed.
That's one of me things. That's one of me little thing. I want to find an advert with the Mavericks and the in-betweens in the same place. I've got. I mean, bit of a holy grail.
I wonder if there would have been an advert. That would be great, wouldn't it? I wonder if there would have been an advert.
You can never tell. That's what my argument with. I mean, my gig list, for want of a better, is the best one out there because I've done the research.
If it was a private gig,
not every gig was advertised.
If it was a private gig, it wouldn't be advertised, would it?
And there's lots of them. The youth clubs, they couldn't afford to do it.
The
pubs, they couldn't. Rushall Working Man Labour Club, Rushall Labour Club, fantastic place. I've got photographs of Nod on stage at Rushall in '65. They never advertised because they didn't have to.
No, there's a few places like that. Yeah,
it was private clubs. They put up the advert for 2 weeks saying coming soon, and that's it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it depends. I mean, a lot of those places, and I don't think there was any fire risk or anything like that, or whether there's any restriction. There was nothing like that around then.
They'd have a couple of thousand members. They'd stick a couple of flyers up saying "Coming soon, Steve Brett, the Mavericks, the in-betweens, whatever."
But
they didn't have to.
That'd be just in the club, though, wouldn't it?
Exactly. They wouldn't need to. They wouldn't need to do any others. So that's what you get. That's what I try and explain to people about the gig list. There's huge lists because not everybody advertised.
No, I mean, it was just possible. I mean, when me, Johnny and Mick do things, I mean, we play like pubs and things like, I mean, there's no advertising because they had their own crowd anyway.
Weddings.
They wouldn't be advertised, would they? But anything like that, private, or like youth clubs, they wouldn't be advertised,
There's a Phantoms gig I'm looking for. They played a wedding at the community centre. My mum ran over the road from the house for a girl who lived just down the road, who was just down the road from Phil Burnell. It's
amazing, isn't it?
Never get advertised, but.
Anyway. It is a weird one. It is strange. But I mean, it's like half the time when we used to play like the Pipe Hall in Bilston, just me, Johnny, and me. They didn't need to advertise, sort of thing. And it's
the school, any of the school gigs and that sort of thing. I mean,
but they wouldn't be advertised. Well, when we got the residency at that working men's club in Wensfield. I can't remember what the name was, but that was never advertised. I mean, there's never many people in there, but we used to play. I think it was Wednesday night. We used to play there.
But places like the Victory Club in New Invention,
that's the one.
The Victory Club, they advertised. I've got adverts for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the one.
Yeah, but say the youth clubs and all that sort of things, they wouldn't do it. So it'll never be complete. Hey-ho. Anyway, I think we put Wales to bed on a controversial fighting and cancelling.
Yes. Be interesting to find out about that T-Rex gig.
It would be. If there's any T-Rex fans listening to this.
That's it.
Yeah, let us know.
Anybody who knows, but that I do remember it, but I can't quite honestly remember the reason why, whether he was scared to have to do a gig with us.
Well, I'll send you that press cutting when we were sorting this out, so just to remind you, didn't I? And you could see they just...
Yeah.
It was a skinhead thing.
You did remind me of that, Chris, but I really cannot remember, the bona fide reason why it happened, But there
it probably didn't happen at all. It was probably something that the publicity made up just to get your name in, the T-Rex name together, and that's it.
Yeah. But there you go. There you go. I mean, those kind of things, that kind of thing happened in those days.
Yeah. On that bombshell, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop the record.
All right.
Thank you for that, mate. I'll talk to you the other side. I'm stopping it.